Hello YouTube! This is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another daily Blizzard upload. Today is a bit of a blast from the past. In an earlier game I cast this week, I mentioned the concept of the Archon Toilet. I believe that was Zest versus Hydra Game 2, if you want to go back and listen to my rant about that. But basically I talked about the importance of the Archon Toilet in Wings of Liberty games from the time, looks like the music is a little bit loud, from an earlier time in Starcraft 2. And I wanted to find a game that featured it. So here in the left side of the map, Metalopolis, we have the the red Zerg, whose name, if we go to the, this is an old version of the, this is the red Zerg Luffy. This is an old version of the interface for this replay, it looks like, which is fun. We have the blue Protoss Mooster. Now, I grabbed this replay off of sc2replays.org, I believe it was, and this should feature the use of the Archon Toilet, which is just the concept of a mothership coming out, throwing down a vortex on a bunch of broodlords, Archons being thrown into the mix as well, and when everybody pops out, the broodlords all die. And it's a very effective means of destroying a Zerg army. Unfortunately, that was all nerfed later on in the series, and you don't see that very much anymore in Heart of the Swarm. So this is a good game to express what we're seeing there. Now this map is Metalopolis. You don't see it anymore in StarCraft 2 games. It's been removed from the latter map pool. But you'll notice the really wide open attack avenues into the natural base here. This is something that Protoss and Terran hated to see against Zerg, because there was no way to safely take a second base unless you had a big army. So you couldn't do a Forge Fast Expand, you couldn't do a command center first. Zerg was fairly happy with the wide open natural because they don't have much static defense anyway. They rely on army units to defend. So it wasn't a big deal to them, but it was something that a lot of people complained about. And as the metagame changed, you would see more and more Protoss and Terran players complain about this. So the Protoss scout, the probe, is scouting around up and down, waiting to see when that spawning pool is going to be built. Perhaps an expansion is going to go down. The spawning pool is over here. We do have the gas being taken already. We have a gateway going down at the top of the ramp for Protoss, which is something you would see quite often, even if it wasn't a one-base kind of harassment build. It was just kind of standard back in Wings of Liberty. So Cybernetics core going down as well. We should finish off the wall here, possibly with a Zealot or possibly with another pylon, depending on what the Protoss wants to do. The drone scout, was that picked off? It might have been picked off. I can't find it, but either way, we have the spawning pool researching speed. We still don't have an expansion going down for the Zerg. Even here where he is at, can we even see? Yeah, 19 supply. So again, this is an early version of StarCraft 2. I'm trying to remember all the different builds that you had at this time, but a Queen's coming out, and there is no intent at getting a second base here at all for the Zerg player. Even in the face of a 4-gate, which is something, again, you would worry about, you still would want to have that second base out at your expansion in order to be able to take care of that as a Zerg player. So I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm not sure what level this game is. I would just know that it does involve the Archon Toilet, so we'll have to see what happens. Two gas going down on one base for the Protoss. So we'll have to see what he does with all of this gas. I'm not sure what the plan is. We have Bob the Zealot down holding the front, but Bob, you are not big enough to cover this entire gap. Zerglings are going to be to swoop on in. They're going to be able to see everything that's going in, do a lot of damage, assuming that is what the Zerg player is up to, and I don't think it is. Finally, the second base is taken at 26 supply and 5 minutes into the game for the Zerg player. So I think this is far from standard. This is not what you saw from Zerg or Protoss players back in Wings of Liberty, but it is something interesting to see nonetheless. Mooster now has 2 Bobs. This, I believe, does fully wall off the ramp here and prevent any Zerglings from coming in. So Bob just needed his friend Bob to get things done, and they do. The Protoss is still getting a lot of gas and has not chosen to do any tech structures, upgrading Warp Gate, a third base being taken by Zerg at 31 supply. Some Speedlings are moving in. Oh, 3 Zealots are at the ramp. That is definitely enough to take these Zerglings. They recognize that. They're going to back off. And the probe is being sent, or being helped out by these 4 Zealots. A base is being taken at the natural by the Protoss. There are only these 4 zealots defending. A huge mass of zerglings would be enough to take this down. This actually might be enough to kill all these guys. A zergling scouts on up, is able to survive enough to get into the base and see what's going on. He doesn't see much. He just sees a lot of gas being taken, a cybernetics core, and that's it. He does get taken down by a probe, zapping him in the face with the probe zapper. These zealots sitting outside, again, I just think they're enough to take down these 4 zealots. It's usually 4 zerglings per zealot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, maybe not quite enough to take these down, but this supporting army, reinforcing army, is definitely enough. Do we have a lair? No. But zealots, the zerglings coming in anyway, trying to snipe down the Stargate that they recognize. We have 5 zealots now. The zerglings just doing some harassment. If they get us surround, I think that might be okay. And at the last second decides to get a couple hits off on those zealots and finally retreat. 3rd base is up, no workers here, no queen yet. 2nd base is up, queen is ready. This queen could probably head up to the 3rd, but she needs to start walking now. She's going to get there in any length of time. It is a long walk, and again, queens are super slow off creep. Watch the change. Slow walking all the way up the ramp. I'm a queen moving on up. And here's the creep, and we're back up to normal speed again. Should throw down an inject, has enough energy to do so. Again, the fact that that hasn't happened tells me this is likely not a professional level game, but that's okay. They can be fun to watch any level of Starcraft in my opinion, and you often see the most interesting stuff in low-level games compared to professional games where everybody has everybody else figured out, and it's just a matter of who is faster and smarter at scouting and things like that. So the zealots come up to reduce this Zerg army into blood and ashes. I guess not ashes, mostly just blood and guts and stuff, because they slash things and don't burn things. But here are the zealots moving, or the zerglings moving on in, taking a look what they can see. Oh, Bob moved. The zealots could, the zerglings could have gotten in to scout what was going on, but instead they chose to back out. They didn't want to sacrifice all of their lives just for some scouting information. Production tab shows a void ray coming out for the Protoss player. That could be interesting. I don't know that void rays were super powerful at this point in the game, especially with the queens out on the field, but maybe a lot of them are enough to do some damage. I don't know. This is a really slow game. Maybe we'll speed it up a little bit. Boop. We'll go to ×2 speed here. 3rd base is getting fairly well saturated now with drones, and the zealots move on in, taking down a creep tumor and focusing on this roach warren and queen. This attack is going to do a lot of damage. I don't see anything left to defend it. A few zerglings come in. The queen needs to turn around and help, but she's running away, deciding not to attack, and now the micro is difficult for the Zerg player, trying to get the zerglings to attack while the queen is also attacking. There we go, doing a good job. 2 zealots go down. A lot of zerglings are getting melted. Reinforcements come down from the main. The queen doing a lot of damage with her claws to these zealots, and the zealots do get cleaned up. So, well played there by Luffy. He had a pretty scary force coming in, was able to get some responding zerglings out in time. The queen doesn't have any kills, but did a lot of damage there, let me tell you what. And the roach warren is up and does not get destroyed, fortunately for the Zerg player, Luffy. Now we look at the production tab again. Upgrades going down for roaches and all of the melee ground units for armor. We have a Hydralisk Den coming down, a couple spore crawlers, and a carrier coming out at the 11-minute mark. Dang, Mooster is interested in getting a good air army here to support his zealots. So, carriers, I don't know. They are considered mostly bad in StarCraft 2, although in team games, 2v2s and 3v3s, a huge group of carriers can be really good for whatever reason. It's just hard to coordinate enough to take them down as a group, and they just have a lot of DPS. They're just kind of squishy if you can get under them with Marines or Hydralisks or Stalkers. So, every race has an answer to them. Most players don't consider carriers to be an effective unit, but apparently Mooster wants to get one out on the board here today. So there is the carrier with the little interceptors. It is one of the carryovers from StarCraft Brood War. Carriers were fairly much, I'd say, a staple of the Protoss army, although usually you'd have more than one. So here comes an attack with a carrier and several zealots, as well as one single void ray and a single stalker. So I don't know what's going to happen with this attack. A mothership core is being built by the Protoss player, so Mooster wants to cloak his units as well. A forward pylon. Nope, not a forward pylon. A backwards pylon back at the base is going down somewhere. I don't know where, but anyway, the attack is imminent. We do have a Hydralisk Roach Zergling army here at 13 minutes. I believe the Zerg should be able to clear this up. Morphing an Overseer. The Zerglings get into the front. Hydralisks and Roaches doing a lot of damage in the back to all of these Zealots. They're getting melted down. The Void Ray dies immediately. The rest of the Zealots evaporate up to Ire, or wherever they go when they die. The Hydralisks snipe down that mothership, or I'm sorry, the carrier, as I explained would happen. They do die quickly to Hydralisks, especially with +1/+1. And right now, the army supply is a 74 for the Protoss and 115 for Zerg. So heavy lead here for the Zerg player. He is getting more drones. We have Psionic Storm and the Mothership Core going down for Mooster. Mothership Core almost ready to pop out here at the natural, and there she is. Mothership Core cloaking everything, including buildings. A huge unit. I believe she cost 8 supply, which is a lot. And Protoss could only build one of her at a time. So really fun unit. You didn't see it very much just because you need the game to go fairly long even to get her out. She has a long build time and a big tech path to get there. In the meantime, Luffy is building a base at the gold here on the high ground. That is one of the features of Metalopolis. You have these gold bases on the high ground, but they have big, huge ramps leading up to them from either side, and they're hard to hold. So you want to sneak them, hope your opponent doesn't see them, and then take advantage of the greater income you get from these gold mineral patches. I played against a Terran once that lifted off his command center and landed here, like his first command center before he did anything else. He lifted off, landed here, and was able to make so many Marines before I even recognized what was going on that he just showed up at my front door with like 15 or 16 Marines at like the 5-minute mark and roasted me. So I was scouting around, looking at the places where he could spawn, looking here, looking here, looking here. But really, he was here, and my scouting drone did not see him until it was too late. And I got killed, and I said, where was he, and how did that happen? And I watched the replay and said, he lifted off and went to the gold. So from that point on, my scouting paths always went through these gold bases on the way to check out the actual starting points if I was playing against a Terran player, lest that happened to me again. Third base going down for the Protoss player at the 16-minute mark. A couple random pylons going down as well. I'm not sure what the purpose of those is, unless it's just to get more supply, I suppose. In the meantime, Zerg just has a huge Hydralisk army with a couple of Roaches sprinkled in. We are still 1-1. No upgrades going down. Burrow happening, though, for the Zerg player. That could be interesting. The Mothership Core is generating energy up to 137 for 200. Vortex costs 100 energy, so we have enough for a single Vortex. And we do have the Archons there as well. No upgrades on these Archons, but their Psionic Shockwave does do damage. Bonus damage to biological, 35 versus the normal, and it is splash damage, so it's great against Roaches, it's great against Hydras, it's great against pretty much anything you can do here for Zerg. Army moving on up the field, supported by this Mothership who is really slow, so everybody has to move on up and then slow down so that the Mothership can catch up. You'll notice cloaking half of the units here, but not everybody. Does Protoss want to move up the ramp and kill this expansion? It would look like he does. Everybody is over here attacking. The Hydralisks are focusing. They get sucked into the toilet. In go the Archons, into the Vortex. Everybody goes into the Vortex. The Mothership zapping stuff with its attack, not doing a whole lot of damage that way. And when everything pops out here at the end of this Vortex, the Archons come out, do a lot of splash damage, do kill a lot of stuff. The Storming goes down on the Hydras. They're not able to dodge it. They get cleaned up by this entire army. And the Archons, 2 Archons survive, as well as a bunch of Zealots. Luffy is down to 99 supply compared to the 111 for Protoss. This base is going to die. And the Archons doing a great job. 13 kills, 15 kills each. Even this probe getting in on the action. And this gold base is gone. Some reinforcing Roaches do pop out in response to this. Are able to take down a couple units with their +1/+1 attack. A storm goes down, and we don't have any dodging at all. That's something you want to do against Psystorm, is dodge it. If you hold still, you take the full damage of the attack. And if you don't dodge it, if you are able to dodge it and get out, that is mitigated. So Roaches and Hydras pop on up. The Mothership Core, did she escape? I think she did. Let's see if we can, no, we're building another Mothership Core, so she must have got sniped down by those Hydralisks earlier at that attack at the gold base. So More Templars coming in. They'll likely be morphed on into Archons. A push here from these Roaches and Hydras. Storm going down on the Hydras, killing 2 of them, bringing a lot of them down. The Zealots do not have charge yet, so they're not able to do a whole lot of quickness, but it doesn't matter because there is no micro going on here at all for Luffy, and his whole army gets cleaned up by these Zealots with no attack or armor upgrades whatsoever. So here we are at 20 minutes. I'm going to speed up again because I am not sure how long this game is. A little changeling gets picked off by the Zealots, so looks like Mooster is on top of that at least, recognizing what changelings are. A couple Phoenix popping in, doing some harassment, flying around very, very quickly here at 2x speed. The third base is getting saturated by Mooster. We have a 4th base going down up here for Luffy. He's interested in getting his macro on, and not interested in making anything but Zerglings and Roaches and Hydralisks. So I don't know if we'll see any more higher tech, although the Infestation Pit is down. Are we going to morph a Hive anytime soon? Who knows, but attack clause for the, what is it, melee attack level 1 for Zerg melee attacks is going down. That'll be good for any Zerglings that are made, although I don't see any on the field. If we look at the units, nope, no Zerglings at all, just Roaches, Queens, Overseers, Hydralisks, Drones, and Overlords. So income tab, it is 57 workers to 52 in favor of the Zerg. A major attack coming into the 3rd. Roaches pushing in, trying to snipe down this base as fast as it can. The Nexus goes down, tries to retreat, but is cut off by this Archon Zealot army. Another toilet goes down. This isn't as effective, I think, against non-stacking units like Mutalisks, but it's enough to destroy everybody that popped out there. So, small burrow attack going down from Roaches, sniping down these Zealots that do have charge now. They burrow to escape. A push up the middle from Archon Zealot right up the left side. Maybe we slow down a little bit here. They're going to move on into this gold base again and going to snipe it down. I don't see any resistance coming from Luffy whatsoever. Yep. So the Zealots are going to town, the Archons are going to town. This base explodes in a shower of blood. Everything dies. The retreating drones also get roasted by the mothership. Does he have an observer with him? No, Mooster does not. So this creep's going to stay up for a while. Although a single Overlord does die, as well as these creep tumors should die. Are they cloaked? They are. They're finished building, so they're actually not visible here. So that's pretty lucky for the Zerg player. This 4th base is going to get killed as well. Zealot's doing a lot of damage. Archon's doing a ton of damage. Again, even not having any upgrades at all. Zealots are chasing these drones, saying, you get back here, but then they retreat. Everybody's cloaked. More Hydralisks getting spawned. I don't know if that's the answer here. I think it'd be better served with possibly Broodlords, or maybe even Ultralisks would do a good job here, although Zealots do soak up a lot of damage from the Ultralisks, so I don't know if that's a good choice or not. A push at the natural here from +2/+2 Roaches and +2/+2 Hydralisks, doing a ton of damage to the natural. This cannon is going down very quickly, focusing down the Nexus as well, even though the Nexus of the 3rd was rebuilt fairly quickly. But the attack here at the 3rd base of the Zerg is going pretty well. This has turned into something of a base race. The Protoss player really wants to take down this economy, preventing Zerg from getting any more army units, which is doing a pretty good job. The income for the Zerg is at 35 harvesters, only 140 minerals, and 96 gas, so not a whole lot there. Moving on into the natural, there's no resistance. A couple Hydralisks that are on move command getting killed. The Roach Hydra attacks going here as well, taking down the Templar Archive, taking down the Twilight Council, taking down the Fleet Beacon, doing a lot of damage. Overlords with speed coming on in just to assist and observe what's going on. The natural does fall to the Protoss Zealot Archon mothership attack. Everybody dies. A small group of drones comes down and visits the 3rd base of Protoss and says, hello, I was maybe wanting to expand here, but I can't because there's a Nexus. Meanwhile, the gold base on this side is taken by Luffy. He wants to keep his bases alive as much as possible, but he knows in a straight-up fight, this army is not quite enough to handle what's left over, especially if these Psy Storms hit from these High Templar. A bunch of them have 200 energy. That is several Psy Storms because they only cost 75 each. The main is getting taken down for both the Protoss and the Zerg here. The Nexus is out. These expired assimilators are out. It is 93 supply for the Protoss and 146 supply for the Zerg. It looks like a hidden nexus going down here on the left side of this base for the Protoss player. That might be enough to keep it hidden for the Protoss army to clean up the Zerg, but I don't know. We have drones attacking this fourth base with the support of a single Hydralisk and a single Roach. They will eventually destroy it, but I think some reinforcements better come down quickly. These guys are standing around not doing a whole lot. You see how slow the Hydralisks are? This is Wings of Liberty. They don't have the speed off upgrade or speed off creep upgrade. And so they are just slow everywhere they go if they're not on creep. It's very, very, very difficult to use Hydralisks correctly in Wings of Liberty because of that. But the Luffy did a pretty good job here in this game nonetheless. The Nexus is going to go down here quickly to the attack of these 2-2 units, and it does. There's only a single Nexus left. It will be, actually it will not be revealed because you need to kill all of the main production for worker bases of your opponent before the rest of your buildings are revealed. Mooster searching around for that final hatchery. It is here at the gold. This worker doing absolutely nothing but sitting there with a single piece of gold mineral in his mouth, just hanging out. Maybe if I flap my wings, people will think I'm working. I don't know. A single harvester left for blue. Another Nexus going down at the gold. I am not sure if that is spotted by Luffy. It is not. He can't see anything on that high ground, so that's a pretty sneaky place to put it. Well done, Mooster. Overlords are scouting around, looking for stuff, trying to figure out where this base is. Creep is really useful, you'll notice. It's giving vision to everything the Zerg player wants to see. Luffy knows the army is over here, is going to come up and defend against this hatchery. Protoss will know it's there as soon as he sees the creep coming down the ramp. Here comes the attack from all the Zealots and all the Archons and all the Psionic Storm Templars. One Archon is sniped out. That's pretty good. The storm going down on everything for Zerg, though. A quick dodge. Very well dodged there by the Zerg player. But I don't believe he has any Overseers. He does not. He cannot see anybody that is cloaked. More storm going down on this army. Everybody dying. The remaining units for Protoss sniping down this hatchery. And I believe that will be all she wrote. I think that's the final building that the Zerg player has. And it goes down. And Luffy is forced to leave the game. So that was an example of what the Archon Toilet looked like. It wasn't as crisp as something you would see from Kiwi Kaki or any of the other professional Protoss players out there, but I hope you enjoyed it. This was an early Wings of Liberty game. Obviously not professional, but just a point of interest, I think, in the annals of StarCraft 2 history. So, hit that like button if you like this video. You can also subscribe to catch future daily Blizzard uploads. Visit me and subscribe to me on Twitter at twitter.com/FalconPaladin. And until next time, you take care of yourself.